Yo, what's good with y'all? In today's video, I'm gonna show you guys how to make Sell Lemons, popular game on Roblox. Very simple. And so let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Okay, so you guys are gonna need the Properties, Explore, and Output tab. Output will be used to debug programming errors. Explore so you can see objects and services, and Properties so you can see the attributes of objects. So click Window, and then just make sure Properties, Explore, and Output are all checkmarked. If they're not, just click it, and then boom. Right? Let's go ahead and let's get started. Very simple. We're just gonna get started something simple and light. We're just gonna make a base, but we're not gonna design the whole base. We're literally just gonna make a small little thing. So let's start off with let's see. What do I want to do first? I guess we could start off with let's just create the base first. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna insert a part. We're not even gonna do anything with the part, right? We're gonna right click, group as model, right? You're gonna name this base one because that's what this is. This is our first base, right? Now, inside of base one, we can kind of disregard the part. We can actually delete the part. We don't need the part for right now, right? So inside of it, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna insert a string value. So type string, you're gonna insert a string value, rename this value to be owner, and then set the value to none by default, right? So this value, as you can probably tell, will be used to keep track of the current owner of said base. So if its value is set to none, nobody owns it. That's how we can tell, like, oh, this base is available, so we can assign it to a player, or just in general, nobody owns this base at this moment in time, right? So now what we can do is we can insert two folders into the base, right, to store some objects. So we can insert our first folder. This is going to be our objects folder. So this is going to keep track of our objects. An example of an object that we're going to make is going to be the lemonade stand and stuff where you make money, right? Then we can really just duplicate it. So you can just right click and then press duplicate. And then you're going to name this folder spawners. And then spawners, you probably already know, those are the little circular parts where you step on it. You can then spawn in objects, right? So the spawners and objects are essentially correlated, right? So let's start off with spawners. Our spawners is, much more simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a part into the spawners folder. So part, I'm going to right click set part, group as model. Then I'm going to name this lemon stand spawner. Lemon stand spawner. So naming is very important here, right? Oh, my bad. I did not mean to put it. This is supposed to be a D right there. It's supposed to be lemon stand spawner. But yeah, so naming is very important. The way I want to have this is that the spawners and objects names are essentially the same. It's just the spawner. Like that's just it. Like essentially object will be called lemon stand. Like it literally would just be missing the word spawner at the end. But yeah. So we inserted this part, right? So let's go ahead and let's make this, or sorry, actually, I just realized, sorry, it's the wrong part. My bad. Let's insert, what should we call it? We need a cylinder. We need a cylinder. So I don't even know if you can, I don't think you can, yeah, you can do that. So let's insert a cylinder, and then I'm going to drag this into the lemon stand spawner, right? So this is what we need. We're going to scale it. Yours does not have to be the same exact size as me, anything like that. And I am not a builder, just a programmer, so my stuff is not going to look that great. But yeah, so we're just gonna scale this outward a little bit. So we'll kind of make it a little wider. We're gonna go down a little. I'm just gonna make this black, right? And then you could just name this part your base. And then what you can do is you can duplicate it. So Control plus D or right click and then press duplicate. And then once you duplicate it, move it up a little bit and then just scale it to make it a little smaller. So we're just going to bring it in a little bit. So something like that. And then I'm just going to move it into the middle. You just want to center it. Then we can go ahead and set the color to be a nice bright green. And then you can name this part spawner since this is the actual spawner, right? So let's go ahead and insert a value into our spawner, right? Or into our lemon stand spawner, sorry. So insert a number value. Now, all your spawners will have this. This is going to be our price. So as you can probably tell, you're going to set the price to whatever you want the price to be. In the actual game, it's just $1. So you're going to set it to be 1, right? But you can set the price to whatever you want it to be. Completely up to you. Now, we need UI so that it says like, oh, like what this is and how much it costs. Like, oh, so that this is the spawner for the lemon stand as well as that it costs $1. So inside of our spawner, we're going to insert a billboard GUI. Very important. I recommend that you guys set the size and positioning to the same thing I do. The only reason I say that is because this can get very glitchy if you don't know like what you're doing with billboard UIs. Now, if you know what you're doing, do as you please. But if not, then I recommend you guys follow along with what I'm doing. So make sure you go ahead and disable reset on spawn. Always make sure you do that. No real need for that. Then we can go ahead and rename this to be spawner GUI, right? Now, as for the properties, we're going to scroll down here. So for sizing, we're going to do 5, 0, 0, or wait, comma 1, sorry. comma 0. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Then for stud offset, we're going to do 0, comma 2, comma 0. Boom. Now, inside of Spawner GUI, we're going to need two text labels, the name text label and the price text label. So let's insert our first text label. You can go ahead and rename this to be our name text label. As for the properties, we can set the whatchamacallit. We can set the position to be, oh, well, the position will remain actually as it is. For size, we'll do 1, comma 0, comma 0.5, comma 0. So something like that. And then we can do bold text, rich text, scale text. We can set the text to be lemon stand, right? I'm gonna set the text color to be a nice little yellow, goldish color. Texture color will be black. Texture transparency will be set to 0. And then we can go ahead and set the background transparency to 1. There we go, looks very nice. Then we can go on ahead and duplicate this. So right click and duplicate. And then for this, we can go to the top. You want to rename this to be price text label. This will reflect the price, so price text label. Then we can, for the properties, we can then go ahead and change this. So the position will be 0, comma 0, comma 0.5, comma 0, so right underneath. And then sizing will remain the same. And then you're just going to set the text to whatever you want the price to be. So I'm just going to put a money symbol, then 1.00 for the price, right? And then I'm going to set the text color to be a nice green. So something, or I might make it a little darker actually, like if there's like a darker green. Mm, maybe something like that, kinda. Maybe, I don't know, because it's kinda, I feel like it's kinda dark though. Like maybe like just like, yeah, like a little bit of a lighter shade of a green. Like maybe. Yeah, something like there. Okay, cool. So then we have our price text label, and then, okay, we are done with our spawner. So all your spawners will go into the spawners folder, right? You just make sure it's grouped, helps with organization, and then we're done. Okay. Oh, let me just, by the way, make sure these parts are also anchored. Also very important, make sure they are anchored. Cool. Right, you can also disable can't collide if you want to. You don't have to, but you can do that if you want. Okay, we're done with our spawner. Now let's move on to our object, which is the lemon stand itself. So again, I'm just gonna insert a part into the objects folder just so we can group everything. So let's right click the part, group as model. You're gonna rename this part to be, or sorry, this model to be lemon stand. Again, literally the same thing, just minus the word spawner. So inside of lemon stand, we of course need a stand. So, but we're not going to do anything with the part as of yet. I want to insert some values first. So inside of lemon stand, right, we need three values. We need our cache rate, our upgrade cost, and our upgrade rate. Now I want to explain what each one of these does, right? So let's insert a number value. So first things first, right? First up, we have our cache rate. So this is how much cache the player gets every time they click the button or every time it runs automatically, whichever one, right? This is how much they get by default, right? So by default, we'll set cache rate to 1. They're getting $1 per click. This is obviously going to increase as you continue to upgrade your lemonade stand, right? Then we can duplicate this. Let's rename the second one to be upgrade cost. How much does it cost to upgrade your lemonade stand, right? By default, I will set this to 5.1. You guys can set the numbers to whatever you want. The value is completely up to you. Just make sure the math works for your game. But that's, yeah, it's completely up to you guys, right? Then let's do the same thing. Let's duplicate. This is going to be upgrade rate. So upgrade rate. This this is essentially how much money or how much the cash rate is increasing per upgrade, right? So pretty much we can say our upgrade rate is set to 3. What this means is it'll increase by $3 every time. So it'll go from 1 to 4, 4 to 7, 7 to 10, and it'll just keep going up like that, right? You can also randomize this if you want, like if you want to if you want to choose like a, like a number between like a set range or something like that. Stuff that's also up to you and everything. But yeah, that's just how I'm gonna do mine and stuff. So yeah, so we have our values. So now let's get on with making the actual stand itself. So I'm not a builder, like I said, just a scripter. So what I'm just gonna do is I'm literally just gonna design a very basic thing. So let me move the spawn out the way, right? So we have this part right here, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scale it up, and then I'm literally just gonna make it like kind of like a table kind of thing. So something like that. Uh, hmm. Not gonna lie, I don't know about that. Yeah, something like that, I guess. And then I'm just gonna make this brown. Yeah, and then yeah, this is pretty much the stand. I'm just gonna make it like wood. This is, yep, this right here is the stand. Perfect. Beautiful, I know. So I'm going to rename this part to be stand, right? We're going to anchor it. I'm going to then insert at the top, I'm going to insert a spear. This is going to be, we're going to make this some lemons. So we're just going to scale this down, make it the size of like a lemon, make it yellow. This is going to be a lemon, right? You can then drag this over into the lemonade stand, right click, group as model, rename this to be lemons. So we're just going to keep all of our lemons in here. So we're then just going to duplicate this. So Control plus D, or right click and duplicate, and then I'm just going to move them around. Again, yours does not have to look exactly like mine. Yours will probably look better than mine considering my obviously amazing building skills. But yeah, so I'm just going to just create a set of lemons to just be all along the table. So boom, now I'm going to do that. This over, boom, boom. Okay. Then I'm just going to right click, hierarchy, select children, and then I'm just going to move them over to be like in the middle of the table. There we go. Okay. We have our lemonade stand. That's going to be our stand. And then we just make sure that they're anchored, of course. Okay, they're not anchored. Phenomenal. We're going to right click, hierarchy, select children, and then just make sure they're anchored. This is just simply so that they don't, roll off the table or the players can like push them off, right? Okay, so then once you have that, we then need to move on to our stand GUI. So instead of stand, you're going to insert a billboard GUI, similar thing as before. Just honestly recommend doing what I do. Disable reset on spawn, rename this to be stand GUI. This is going to have quite a bit of, it's going to have 4 text labels. So stand GUI properties, size will be 5, comma 0, comma 5, comma 0. The stud offset will be 0, comma 6, comma 0. Then we can go ahead and insert a text button, right, into the stand GUI. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set the position to be 0, 0, 0.4, 0. We're going to set the size to be 1, 0, 0.2, 0, right? Then what we're going to do is we're going to set the background color to be a nice, wait, what is this? This is the collect, yeah, this is the collect text button. So essentially this is like the generate button. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this a bright green. I'm going to add a UI corner, and then I'm also going to add a UI stroke. This is optional. You guys don't have to do this. UI stroke. Give it around the border. Okay, cool. Very nice. Okay, so this is going to be our collect text button. This is just in other words, our generate money text button. So collect text button. Very nice. Then we can move on to our upgrade text button. So you can just right click, duplicate, rename this to be upgrade text button. So this is what you're going to use to upgrade your lemonade stand. So then for the properties, position, we will change the position. So 0.2, 0, 0.65, 0. Size will then be 0.6, 0, 0.2, 0, right? And then with this, you want the upgrade button to be a dark green instead of a light green, right? And I also recommend choosing the same background color as me. You will see why once we get to the coding. So once you have that, once we have upgrade, I'm going to update the text as well one time. So for this, for the collect text button, I'm just going to do bold text. I'm just going to, in all caps, click. Probably going to set the text color to be white. Text stroke transparency to be set to 0, so it kind of just stands out somewhere. Then for the upgrade text button, same thing, upgrade, but just in like lowercase this time. But we're gonna do bold text, rich text, scale the text, and then just set the text stroke color to be white. Text stroke transparency will be set to 0. So something like that, right? And then boom. So inside of the upgrade text button, we need a upgrade text label. That is so that we can display the price of upgrading. So you're gonna insert a text label into your upgrade text button, and you can just call this upgrade text label, right? As for the properties for this, position will be 0.25, 0, 0.9, 0. And then for the size, you can do 0.5, 0, 0.5, 0, right? So very small right underneath it. Bold text, rich text, scale text, and then set it to whatever the default price is. So that should be whatever upgrade cost is by default. So for me, it's 5.1, so I'm just gonna say like 5.10 and stuff, right? So I'm just gonna say 5.10, right? Um, Probably gonna set the text color to green. I feel like that just makes the most sense, to be honest. Just that it's like a nice green, so something, yeah, maybe like something like that. So boom, and then probably set the texture color to be white because that's a little too, yeah, it's a little too dark. Okay, and then we'll set the background transparency to be 1 on this, and then yeah, there we go. Very nice. Okay, so we're done with the upgrade text button. Moving on, we then need to have the cache text label. So pretty much how much cache the player is getting per minute, which will reflect cache rate. So then insert a text label right into the stand GUI. This will be your cache text label. As for the properties, your position will be 0 by 0 by 0.2 by 0. Sizing will be 1 by 0 by 0.2 by 0, right? And then from here, wait, 0, 0, 0.2, okay, that should be good, yeah. Okay, and then we'll do bold text, rich text, scale text. I'm not sure what the color, I'm pretty sure, I feel like this is green too. I mean, I would say the color would be green. I mean, we're talking about cash. So what I'm gonna do is by default, again, what we're gonna do is just gonna have it set to whatever the money is. So like how much, whatever the cash rate is by default. So it's 1, so we're gonna go here, we're gonna put the money symbol, 1, 0, 0, right? Very simple. Then we're gonna set background transparency to be 1. Then moving on, we then have our name text label. So for our name text label, um, this just says lemon stand. So we can just really duplicate this, and then you could just name this name text label. As for the properties for this position, will be set to just 0 all across the board, all the way at the top, and then sizing remains the same. And then this is just gonna say lemon stand. So this will be in yellow. And then we can do, yeah, we can do something like that. So very nice. Lemon stand. Okay, there we go. We now have all of our UI. So here is what you're now going to do, right? Here's something very simple of what you're now going to do. I'm actually curious to see something real quick. Hold on. I'm curious to see something. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, so now here is what you guys are going to do, right? Obviously, by default, you don't want to see any of your objects by default. So here is what we're going to do. We are going to set the objects. We're going to make the objects invisible. So here's what we're going to do, right? You're going to first make sure your stand is invisible. So set transparency to 1. You're going to disable can't collide so that obviously, players can't interact with it. You also want to do the same with your lemons. So right click the lemons. You're going to click hierarchy, select children, and then same thing. Set transparency to 1. Disable can't collide, right? Move on, and then from here go to stand GUI. By default you want to disable this, so make sure it's not enabled. But this is also very important, very 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 important. Make sure you set adorny to the stand. Now here's the reason, right? For the UI, for these buttons to work, for these buttons to detect user input, we have to reparent them to the player UI, right? So, but we need the UI to obviously be over the stand, like to be like overhead. So make sure you set the adorny. The adorny just means it'll simply just be like its position, like what it'll be like around kind of thing, right? So just disable the UI, and then from there we are good to go. Right, from there we are good to go. We are done with building base. We have successfully constructed base 1. Let's go ahead and let's create a remote event for set of replicated storage so we can communicate between the server and the client. So this will be core event, right? And then we just need to make some very basic UI, which is just the cache, which are going to show how much cache the player has. So very simple. So find starter GUI, insert a screen GUI, disable reset on spawn. We're then going to rename this to be core GUI, then insert a frame. That's not how you spell frame. We're gonna insert a frame. It's gonna be called a cache frame. We can then set the position to be 0.32 by 0, essentially, right? And then we can set the size to be 500 by 60. Boom. And then I'm gonna insert a UI corner into this. So, or my bad, UI corner. So we just give it rounded corners. I'm gonna make this black. I'm just gonna make it purely black. And then I'm going to insert a text label into it. It's going to be my cache text label to display how much cache the player currently has. So we'll call it the cache text label, right? And then we will have the position. So let's go down, or sorry, right here actually. So for the position, we will say 0, 0, 0, 0.083 for the, okay, or not, 0.0, comma 0.083, comma 0. Okay, there we go, right? Then for sizing, 0 by 130, comma 0 by 50, right? So very simple, sarcastic, stable, bold text, rich text, scale the text. This is just gonna be, it's just gonna be green. So just make this a nice green. Texture color will be black. Texture of transparency will be set to 1. And then by default, you can set this to however much money your players should have by default, which is $1 and stuff if you're making it according to the game. So money symbol, $1, very simple. You can set the background transparency to be 1, and then we are done with the UI. Okay, now we can finally move on to coding. Okay, so let's go on ahead and let me just double check one time. Okay, we are good to go. Okay, cool. So open up Starter Player, find Starter Player scripts, insert a local script. You want to rename the script to be core script, in parentheses put local, right? You're going to want to delete print hello world. We're going to create a couple of variables first. So let's create a variable for the tween service. So ts is equal to game get service. Then we have the tween service, right? So then from here, we're then going to create a variable for our remote event that we created over here. So core event is equal to game, the replicated storage, wait for child, core event. Then let's create a variable for our player, of course. So player is equal to game.players.local player. Then let's create a variable for our core GUI. So core GUI is equal to player.player GUI, wait for child, core GUI. Then let's create a variable for our player's base. So base by default will be set to nil. Once we find the player's base, we will then update it accordingly. So let's create our first function, which is finding the player's base. So function find player base. In parentheses, you can put, or sorry, in parentheses, you're going to put player. This is the player we're searching for. Or not player, actually, let's do username instead. That's actually better. Username. So whatever username we're searching for. So we're gonna use a for loop. So for I, comma v and I pairs, workspace, get children, enter. You're going to say if v find first child owner. As you guys remember, we created the owner value. So if it has owner, that means it's a base. So enter, then create a variable for the base equal to v, right? Then you say if base.owner.value is equal to username, then that means that this is our base. So return base, right? And then we will then create our next function, which is called generate money. So function generate money. In parentheses, you're going to put the stand GUI, which is what we created, as well as the lemon stand. So this is just the user side stuff. Obviously, like the actual money being generated is done on the hidden on the server side. So we're gonna fire the remote event, core event, fire server in quotation mark. You're gonna put generate money, and then there's gonna be the generate type, which is single, right? You guys know how you can buy the thing where it's like it automatically caches, like, or not caches, it automatically clicks for you and stuff, right? It automatically generates. So that's why we're putting single, as in like just one time. So we're gonna run a check. We're gonna say if not player.cooldown folder find first child in parentheses and then quotation marks money cooldown enter, right? Now, so I do want to clarify something, right? Again, this is just to handle the client side. Like this check is just for the client side stuff. Even if like an exploiter was to fire the remote event and everything, it wouldn't matter. We're still gonna validate the fact that the player is either on money cooldown or is not on money cooldown and stuff on the server side. I just want to make that clear. But yeah. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna say stand GUI dot collect text button dot, we're gonna change the background color. So background color 3 is gonna be equal to color 3 dot new. The reason for this is this is to help represent the fact that it's like loading, it's like in progress. So we're gonna do 0.38 by 0.38 by 0.38, so like a kind of gray, so that to indicate that like it's the process is occurring. Then we're gonna create a cooldown. This is simply just gonna go 0.9, 0.8, 0.7. Like it's gonna rapidly go from 1 second, or from 1 second to 0, essentially, but by 0.1. So let's set up our cooldown tween. Cooldown tween is equal to ts create, right? We will then have our stand GUI's collect text button, comma, then tween info dot new, put whatever you want. I'm gonna put 1 second, enum, oh my bad, enum dot easing style dot linear, comma, enum dot easing direction dot out. Now you guys are free to choose whatever properties you want, but this is what I'm going with. Then comma and special brackets, we're gonna put background color 3. Make sure everything matches exactly as is, exactly as mine. Color 3 dot new, and then we're gonna make this back to the green, so 0, 170, 0. Now, if you chose a different green, then obviously you need to set it to whatever green you chose. But this is the green that I chose. So cooldown tween, we will then play the cooldown tween. Right, then we'll use a for loop to count down. So we'll say for I is equal to 1, comma 0, comma -1. So pretty much we're gonna start at 1, end at 0, and then decrease by oh sorry, that's wrong. Sorry. It's supposed to be 0 0.1. So negative 0 0.1 because we're gonna increase or we're gonna decrease by 0 0.1. So press enter, then we need to round it so that it's not like some large number like 0.99999 kind of thing. So let's create a variable called rounded. Rounded is equal to math dot round. Then we'll say I times 10. Go on the outside. Then you'll divide it by 10, right? Then we'll say stand GUI dot collect text button dot text is equal to round. Oh my bad. Dot text is equal to rounded dot 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 quotation mark s to indicate how many seconds left. Then of course task dot wait 0.1 seconds in between, right? And then at the end we will say stand GUI dot collect text button dot keep forgetting it's not gonna autofill. Collect text button dot text is equal to quotation marks click. So we're just resetting it back to default. Then what we'll say is if player dot leader stats dot cache dot value is greater than or equal to lemon stand dot upgrade cost dot value enter. Then we're gonna make the upgrades background color green so that we can let the player know like, hey, you have the option to upgrade if you so choose to, of course. Stand GUI dot upgrade text button dot background color 3 is equal to color 3 dot new is going to be set to green, so 0 by 170 by 0, right? Very cool. And then moving on to our next function, very simple, upgrade stand. So function upgrade stand, right? Close parentheses, or sorry, or yeah, actually, no, close parentheses. Then we're just gonna fire the mode event, core event, fire server, invitation marks, upgrade stand. That simple, right? Then moving on to our next function, we're going to say core event dot on client event connect function in parentheses, put event type enter. We will then say if event type is equal to join, so whenever the player first joins the game, we will then update the base. So base is equal to find player base, and then we're going to attach the player's name. Then you're going to go and you're going to say else if event type is equal to in quotation marks collect, right? So enter. So this is essentially setting up the collect function. This is what happens when you spawn in the lemon stand. It'll trigger this stuff, right? So we'll create a variable for our lemon stand. So we'll find the lemon stand by saying base dot objects dot lemon stand, and then we'll find the stand GUI. So lemon stand dot stand GUI. Right now we'll handle so we'll reparent the GUI so that we can actually, interact, like if we can detect user input. So it's equal to player.player GUI, right? And then we set the adorn earlier so that it still will appear as if it's like it's hovering right over the lemon stand. Then we'll set up the function. So stand GUI dot collect text button, right? And then you'll say dot mouse button one click connect function close parentheses enter. Then you'll call the generate money function. You'll attach the stand GUI as well as the lemon stand and stuff. And then we're gonna just do the vice versa for essentially the same. So just copy that, paste that, and then just change this to be upgrade text button, right? And then just change the function that we're calling to be upgrade stand, and then we're done from there. And then yeah. So moving on to the next thing, we will then say else if event type is equal to in quotation marks upgrades. This is what happens when you've upgraded your stand. We need to update the UI, so enter. And then we need the same kind of variables, so we can just copy this. So copy, paste, so the lemon stand and the stem GUI. So we will then say stand GUI dot upgrade text button dot upgrade text label dot text is equal to lemon stand dot upgrade cost dot value, whatever the new value is. Then we'll say stand GUI dot cache text label dot text is equal to in quotation marks. Oh, bad, it's supposed to be text. Put a money symbol. dot 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 lemon stand dot cache rate dot value dot 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 quotation marks, then restore dot 00. But it's kind of optional and stuff. Let's just, I feel like it just looks better that way. Then we'll throw an if statement. We will say if player dot leader stats dot cache dot value is less than lemon stand dot upgrade cost. So essentially, if you cannot afford the next upgrade, we're then gonna set the color to gray, back to gray. So standard UI dot upgrade text button dot background color 3 is equal to color 3 dot new 0.25 by 0.25 by 0.25. So setting it back to gray. Then for our last function, whenever a player's cache changes, we need to make sure it updates at the top for this UI. So let's create two variables first, our leader stats folder. So we'll say leader stat is equal to player wait for child leader stats. Then let's create a variable for our cache. So cache is equal to leader stats. And then we can really just say wait for child cache, right? Then we can say cache dot change connect function in parentheses put amount, enter, and then we just want to format it to make sure it looks nice. So we'll say if amount is greater than or equal to 1e6, enter. Then we'll say amount is equal to string dot format. Then in quotation marks, you're going to put the percent symbol dot 1fm, then comma amount divided by 1e6, then enter. Then you're going to say else if amount is greater than or equal to 1e3, enter, then amount is equal, oh my bad, it's supposed to say else if, yep, else if, there we go. So then amount is equal to string dot format, in quotation marks, you're then going to put, oh my bad, there's supposed to be a then here as well, my bad guys, but yeah. So then we're going to put, again, percent symbol, then this time you're just going to, say 1fk. Right. So, because that's, yeah, so amount is equal to 1fk. And then there's supposed to be, oh, sorry, it's supposed to be a dot here. It's supposed to be, yeah. So, dot 1fk. Then we'll say, comma, amount, comma, 1e3, right? Um, Not totally sure. Why is it giving me argument count mismatch? Function expects two arguments, but three are specified. Oh, my bad, my bad, my bad. Sorry, not a comma, what should I call it? We're supposed to divide here. My bad. But yeah, so then after the end, we're then just gonna say core GUI dot cache frame dot cache text label dot text is equal to in quotation marks the money symbol dot 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 amount. And we are done with the local script. We can then move on to our server script. Okay, so find server script service, insert a server script. You guys can go ahead and name this core script and then in parentheses put server. Before we even move to any typing, let's go ahead and create our modules that we're going to need. So let's create two module scripts inside of the server script. So we can name our first module core module, name our second module spawner module. So one module will handle spawning everything, while the core module handles like the kind of the core functionality of things. So starting on our server script, let's go back there. We're going to create a couple of variables first, of course, for our remote event as well as for our module script. So let's do core module first. So core module is equal to require script.core module. Then create one for our spawner module is equal to require script dot spawner module, and then lastly create a variable for our core remote events is equal to gain the replicated storage wait for child core event. Then from here we're then going to use a for loop. We're then going to say for I comma v and I pairs. We're going to say workspace get children enter. We're then going to use an if statement. We're going to say if v find first child owner. So pretty much is how we know it's a base. So enter, then create a variable for said base. Base is equal to v. Then we use a second for loop. We will say for j comma f in I pairs. You will then say base dot spawners. Remember that folder we made at the beginning. Get children close parentheses enter. So once you find the spawner, right, we then have our spawner model, right, which is f, right. So then, very important, make sure inside of your spawner model that you name the actual spawner itself, the part that the players touch, make sure you name that to just spawner, right? Because then what we're going to do is we're going to say spawner model, not module, model dot spawner. This will error if you don't have if you didn't name it spawner exactly as is, dot touched connect function, in parentheses put hit, then press enter, right? Then we're gonna say if hit dot parent find first child, then you're gonna put humanoid, right, to make sure it's a player, and of course hit dot parent dot name is equal to base dot owner dot value to make sure it's of course the owner of the base, right? Then enter, then let's get the price of whatever it costs to spawn in the object. Price is equal to spawner model dot price dot value. You guys should remember everything, so pretty much that. Then let's also get the player. Player is equal to, let's do game dot players. We're gonna do get player from character. Then you're just gonna say hit dot parent, right? So you're just gonna say hit dot parent to get the player, right? So from there, we're then just gonna just check to make sure that they can afford it. So if player dot leader stats dot cash dot value is greater than or equal to the price, oh my bad, that's not price, to the price. Then from there, we're gonna say player dot leader stats dot cash dot value is less than or equal to the price. We're gonna subtract it. The balance. I don't know why I keep doing that, but price. Then we're gonna call the spawner module. So spawner module, you're gonna say regular bracket. Then you're gonna say spawner model dot name, right? And then you're gonna go on the outside and parentheses attach the base as well as the player. So this is very important, right? This is why I said it's important that you name your stuff properly. So how I have my name, lemonade stand spawner, that's it. That's gonna be the name of the function. It's gonna be lemon stand spawner. Okay, moving on to the next function, we have find player base. So this is very simple. So this is actually the exact same thing as our function that we made on the local script. So we can just go ahead and copy and paste this. So copy this and then just paste this to save ourselves time. So find player base. Then for the next thing, we're going to set up the function for when players run the game. So we'll say game that players, we'll say dot player added connect function in parentheses put PLR, which is short for the player. Enter. Let's create a leader stats folder. So leader stats is equal to instance.new. It's going to be a folder. Leader stats.name is equal to leader stats. Leader stats.parent is equal to player. Then let's create a cache variable. So cache is equal to instance.new, or a value I should say. But number value cache.name is of course equal to cache. Very important. Cache.value should be set to whatever your default value is. I'm going to set mine to 1 so that the player can afford to, kind of buy something, which would be the lemon stand spawner. Then we're going to say cache.parent is equal to leader stats. Then after that, we need to set up a cooldown folder. So we're going to say cooldown folder is equal to instance.new folder. And we'll say cooldown folder dot name is equal to cooldown folder. Then cooldown folder dot parent is equal to player. And then we're going to find the player a base. So we're going to say base is equal to find open base. We have not created this function yet. We will in due time. So just ignore that error for now. Then after that, we will say base.owner.value is equal to, once we find the open base, we will say is equal to player.name, right? And then lastly, we will fire the remote event. We'll say core event fire client, the player, comma, joined, right? Then we're going to move on to the next function, or the last function for the script actually. We're going to say core event on server event connect function in parentheses PLR, which is short for player, comma event type, comma arg1, which is short for argument number 1, which is just a piece of information that was sent from the client to the server. Then press enter. Use an if statement. You'll say if event type is equal to in quotation marks generate money. This would be the name of our event. So generate money. Enter. We need to specify the generate type. So generate type is equal to arg1. We will say if generate type is equal to single. So if we want a single generation, enter. Then we will find the player's base. So we will say we will do find player base. Then we will attach the player's name. Then once we find it, we will call the function. We will say core module dot single money generate, which again we will create this in due time. So base dot objects dot lemon stand, comma, send over the player. This is why it's very important that if you're following this tutorial, you follow it exactly as I did, unless you know what you're doing and stuff, right? Because it goes base dot objects dot lemon stand, right? Then attach the player. Then you can skip and end, throw an else if event type is equal to in quotation marks upgrade stand when a player is trying to upgrade. Enter create a variable for the player's base. So again, it's the same thing. Find player base, player dot name. Then you'll just say core module. You'll just say core module dot upgrade stand. Or wait, yeah, upgrade stand. Same thing. Base dot objects dot lemon stand, comma player. Right. So essentially the same thing. Um, and stuff. Oh, I just realized. I'm so sorry. I forgot a function. We never made the find open base function. Okay, my bad, guys. So let's go back real quick. Okay, so you're just gonna copy the find player base function because it's very similar. So copy this, paste it right here, and then just change this to find open base. Or I guess it'd probably better to be available base, but it's same thing. You don't need a username obviously because we're just looking to make sure we find a base. So for this, you're just gonna change this to just simply be is equal to in quotation marks none, right? Then you will return said base because that means it's available, right? And then boom, we're done with the server script. Let's move on. We can then move on to the core module. Let's open up the core module. Change this to be module, copy, and then paste. You're gonna go in the middle, space in between. Now for our first function is checking whether or not the player is currently on cooldown. So we'll say function core module dot on cooldown. Then in parentheses, we'll put player, comma, cooldown type. So we'll return, this function will return either true or false. So enter, you will say if player, cooldown folder, find first child, cooldown type, enter, then return true. That means the player is on cooldown. If not, we'll throw an else. We return false, which means the player is not on cooldown. Then for our second function, we will say function core module dot single money generate. This is where the player is making the money, so single money generate. We need the player's lemon stand as well as the player themselves. Then enter. What we'll do is we need to make sure they're not on cooldown. So we'll say if core module dot on cooldown player, comma in quotation marks. It'll be called money cooldown, right? Enter, then return, right? To prevent the player from abusing and stuff and been trying to bypass the cooldown. Then we will create a variable for, we'll create a value for the money cooldown. So instance.new, this will be a, make this a bool value. Yep. And then money cooldown dot name is equal to money cooldown, right? Money cooldown dot parent is equal to player dot cooldown folder, right? Then we'll set up a delayed function, task.delay 1.2 seconds, comma, function, close parentheses, enter. By the end of this, we can destroy the money cooldown value. Now, I do want to clarify something. You guys can change this number right here, like this delay, right? Like, let's say like your UI is kind of inconsistent and stuff, and like it's finishing a lot quicker, or in general, if you just want this cooldown to be shorter or longer, you can adjust this number as need be. It does not have to match mine. I actually forgot to do one thing. We also need to, the most important thing, give the player their money. So let's do player dot leader stats dot cash dot value plus equal lemon stand dot cash rate dot value, right? And then we're done with that function. And then we can move on to the last function, which is upgrade stand function. So let's go here, function, we'll say core module dot upgrade stand. In parentheses, it's the same thing, lemon stand player, enter, right? So for this, you're just gonna make sure the player can afford it. So if player dot leader stats dot cash dot value is greater than or equal to lemon stand dot upgrade, my bad, dot upgrade cost dot value, enter, then we're going to subtract this. So player leader sets dot cash dot value is less than or equal to lemon stand dot upgrade cost dot value, right? And then we're going to say lemon stand dot cash rate dot value. We're going to increase this. So we're going to say is plus equal lemon stand dot upgrade. We're going to say wait, isn't this, wait, should we because because this is, yeah, this is upgrade rate. So we're gonna say upgrade rate dot value, and then we'll update that stuff. So eliminate stand dot upgrade. Or sorry, let's do update cost first. So we'll do upgrade cost dot value is times equal to. Again, you don't have to do it like this. You could do it like, you know, times equal math dot random 1 to 3 or so. Like it's completely up to you guys. You don't have to do it. This is just how I'm doing it and stuff. You just get the point about how we're just increasing the upgrade cost as well as the upgrade rate. So dot value times equal to, right? And then lastly, this fire their mode event. So, oh, we probably should create a variable for that. My bad. Go to the top of the script, enter, create a variable for the core event. Core event is equal to game, the replicated storage, wait for child, core event. Then we can come back down here. Then we could fire it. So core event, fire client, player, comma, in quotation marks, you're going to put upgrade, if I can spell properly. So upgrade, and then that should be the name on here. Yep, upgrade. Okay, cool. Stuff. Well, actually, now that I think about it, a better thing would actually be upgrade stand. I say that because upgrade I feel like can mean multiple. I don't know if you can upgrade other stuff in the game. I don't know. So let's change this to be upgrade stand and then go to the local script, find your upgrade event on the core event on client stuff, and then change this to upgrade stand, right? And then just like that, we are done with the core module. Then lastly, we just got the spawner module, right? So for the spawner module, we honestly need more so helper functions than actual main functions. So let's rename this first. So spawner module, copy and paste. Put some space in between. So for our first function, we're gonna make a make object invisible function, right? So we're gonna say function. We're gonna say spawner module dot make objects invisible. Then you're going to attach the object, enter. So you're going to set the object's transparency to be 1. So object.transparency is equal to 1. Object dot can collide is set to false. Object dot, well, actually, can touch doesn't really matter. It's more so about transparency and being able to collide it. But yeah. Oh, also, actually, no, man, let's do it like this. Actually, yeah, let's do it like this. Object dot can touch is also equal to false. Let's just do that. Then we use a for loop and stuff just to get, like, let's say like it has any parts inside of it, like for example, right, when we take the lemon stand spawner, we have these parts, but then, or sorry, not sorry, wrong thing. Take the lemon stand, right? If we take the lemon stand, we have the stand itself, but then we have the lemons group, which has the lemons inside of it. So we need to also get the sub objects. So we'll use a for loop for I comma v and I pairs. What you'll do is you'll say object get let me make sure I'm spelling this right. Descendants, close parentheses, right? Descendants, yep, looks about right. And your creative variable, this we'll call this the sub object, right? Because it's inside of the main object, right? We'll say we need to double check if sub object. So we'll say if sub object is a billboard. If the sub object is a billboard, GY enter, then we need to make sure it's disabled. So sub object dot enabled is to false. Right, because keep in mind, a billboard GUI would be inside of an object. So if it is, then we'll set it to false, and then we just need to create the vice versa, which is make objects visible. So great thing, just copy and paste. So copy that function, paste it, and then just delete the IN, set to V, and then just make the V uppercase, right? Make objects visible, do the opposite, transparency sets to 0. Change these falses to true, be true, right? Then you're just going to go down here, set this to be true. Looks like I put an extra E by mistake, right? Then we have our last and final function, the lemon stand function. So it's very important that these names match exactly as is. So how says lemon stand spawner? That's exactly what it's going to say. So we're going to say, I'm going to say spawner module, or my bad, actually wrong thing. I'm going to say function spawner module dot lemon stand spawner, the exact same name. So we have the base, and then we have the player. Enter. All right. Create a variable for our spawner. So spawner is equal to base dot spawners, our folder, and then find first child lemon stand spawner. Right. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna say spawner module dot make objects invisible, and then we're gonna attach the spawner. We're gonna attach the spawner dot base. Or actually, wait, now that I think about it, why not just, I just realized, wouldn't it just be easier? Well, I mean, it's only two parts. I don't really see the reason to use a for loop, mostly because it's just two parts. Like I wouldn't imagine that a spawner would have this much stuff. So we're just gonna do the, yeah, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna do spawner.base, and then again, spawner module dot make objects invisible, and then we're just gonna do spawner dot spawner, right? So then we're going to create a variable for our lemon stand, which we need to make visible now. So lemon stand is equal to base.objects.lemon stand. Then we use a for loop, so for I, comma v and I pairs, and then we'll say lemon stand. We'll say lemon stand. Oh, my bad. Actually, I forgot one thing. So before we do that, actually, we're going to say spawner module dot make objects visible this time. So make them visible. We'll say lemon stand dot stand, right? Then we will say lemon stand. Dot lemons, we need to make all the lemons visible. So let's do get children. All right. Then wait, actually, because doesn't this get the descendants? Oh, never mind. Oh yeah, no, no, never mind. Okay, so then get children, right? And then each one is a lemon, so lemon is equal to v. And then we can just simply say spawner module dot make objects visible, and then attach the lemon, right? And to make them all visible, then we'll fire the core events, which obviously we haven't created the variable. Let's just copy and paste save results one time. So just go to another one of the scripts, copy it, paste it at the top, come back down. Then you're just going to say core events, fire server, obviously not fire server, fire client, the player, comma, and quotation marks, collect, so that the player can now collect money. And then lastly, you're just going to say lemon stand, dot stand, dot stand GUI, dot collect. Wait, actually. Oh, wait, no, no. Wait. Never mind, actually. Yeah, no, never mind. We actually don't need that. Yeah, because I changed it, right? I think I did. If we go here, then if generate, because yeah, find player base, joined, collect, that triggers this. Okay, yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah, sorry, we didn't need that and stuff. But yeah, okay, let's go ahead and test to make sure everything works. As always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, just simply read the description and find out how to get access to that. Which includes this one. Just read the description and find out how to get access to that. Okay, so as you can see, we spawn in, right? I have $1 to my name. If I walk over to the lemon stand thing, the spawner, boom. Okay, I have now spawned it. Now, for some odd reason, the UI is still visible, right? The UI is still, if you notice, the UI is still visible and the UI is not visible there, which means, let's stop testing. There's an issue with the spawner module. Let me see. So that means I did something wrong. Um, did I spell this wrong? Oh, I see what I did wrong. Okay, it does not have a capital. Okay, my bad, guys. Make sure you do lowercase b right here. The word board is supposed to have a lowercase b. It's just uppercase B and G. So there we go. That's why. That's why, because I'm like, it's clearly something with the billboard UIs. Okay, so boom, there we go. Now you see it's gone, and then now we have the lemon stand UI and stuff, right? So here's what happens if when I press click. As you can see, it does the thing, right? But actually, now that I think about it, wasn't it supposed to make the color? I feel like I'm through. Because, yeah, it's supposed to like make, it was supposed to make the color itself change when it was generating money. It was supposed to make the, yeah, like that's supposed to be a different color. Like, hold on, let me go to the local script. Like here, yeah, here. This is supposed to be, yeah, like how this is gray. It's supposed to do that, but for some reason it's not doing that. Collect text button, stand UI, color 3 dot new. Um, then this changes it to green in 1 second, and then yeah, I have no idea why it's like doing it. It's like it's not changing the color at all. That is not gray. That's very strange. That is not gray. Not at all. If not player. Hmm. Let me try it again. If not, it's not really that big of a deal. Not really big of a deal, but still. Okay. So yeah, I don't know why it's not doing that. But anyway, so as you guys can see, I am making money. Boom. And but no, but see, you know what it is? The UI isn't reflecting properly. Like you see how like like the it's supposed to be grayed out. Like the upgrade text button in general is supposed to be grayed out by default and stuff. Like, hold on. Oh, my bad. Yeah, the background color. Yeah, no, this is supposed to be gray. This is supposed to be like it's supposed to be like a kind of grayish color. Um, yeah, it's supposed to be grayed out by default and stuff. But even then though, it's supposed to like I feel like I'm missing something. Money cooldown. Stand you what? I must be missing something because I'm like, I don't know. It's enabled. We said it's Adorny. Always on top doesn't really. I mean, we could set always on top to true, but I don't really think that would change anything. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure why it's doing that. It should honestly, yeah, it should honestly not be doing that, to be honest. 170, yeah, and then it'll set it back to green, but that's after 1 second. Not sure what is, yeah, not sure really why it's doing that, because like the code looks the same. I'm not totally sure why it does that. Um, because then it's like here, if we wanted to test this out and stuff, you guys will see I'm able to upgrade. Yeah, see, I'm able to upgrade. What is going on? What is going on? Wait, stand GUI, argument count mismatch, function upgrade stand expect 0 arguments, but 2 are expected. Hmm, very interesting. Wait, did I pass along? Wait, I'm so confused. Did I pass? Oh, my bad, my bad. I did not mean to pass. Okay, go to the local script and delete this stuff. Delete that part. We did not have to pass along the arguments, but even then, that doesn't really matter though, because yeah, that still shouldn't cause the issue. I mean, that's one thing to fix, but that was one thing that needed to be fixed, but it still shouldn't cause that issue though. Like the UI should still be reflecting color wise. Okay, so boom, boom, and then I can now upgrade. Oh, unless it does that, what is going on? Hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna debug the issue, guys, and I'll get back to you when I figure out whatever's going on and stuff. So just give me a sec. All right, guys, took me a little minute, but I have good news. I figured out the problem, and I figured out the problem, also figured out another problem, and made things a little better. Okay, so first things first, this remote event was right here. We see the red circles. That's where the changes are. So you need to move stuff. So move this to right here. Just remove that and put it here and stuff. There's no point to fire the remote event if we haven't already checked the cooldown and stuff. Then right here, for some reason, color3.new isn't working for this. So just change it to be from RGB instead. Just change it to do that and then just do 38 by 38 by 38. You don't have to do this part. This is just the color that matches the upgrade text button. So it looks grayed out rather than just like black, like just dark black. So yeah, then the cooldown tween, just change the background color to be from RGB. Same, the color's the same. Then what you can do is you can add a task that wait 1 second. The problem is with this is I realized since there's a delay between like the player getting their money and stuff, it then isn't detecting that oh the player has enough money to purchase the upgrade. So we're just gonna add a little delay, so a 1 second delay, then it'll check, then it'll check, so just add that little 1 second delay. Scroll down here, um, for the upgrade stand, we need to find the lemon stand. So we're just going to use the find player base function, attach to player.name, then find their lemon stand. Stand UI was reparented to the player's UI, so we're just gonna go player.player GUI.stand UI. And then right here, you're just changing the from RGB and then as well as the color to 30 by 30 by 30. But again, color is completely up to you guys, right? Then I did just change this function at the end just so that the formatting is better. So essentially this part is still the same, right? This part is still essentially the same. Obviously, as you can see, we what's your name? Whatchamacallit? I'm trying to think. Changed it from amount to formatted and stuff, right? Created a formatted variable instead. So formatted this, so these two remain the same. Then we just do an else, then just add this one, then just add this one as well, right? This is just to ensure that everything is formatted so we don't have any long running decimals, as well as the fact that it keeps the zeros, it keeps like the 2 decimal points after, so it looks much nicer in my opinion now. So it's just kind of like a little side improvement. Okay, so now if we go test, right, watch this. It's winding, still got the 0 to 0. Then watch this. Boom, 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 and then wait for it, right? We'll have enough, wait a second, and then boom, right? Then we can upgrade. We can go again, and notice how it's updating our cache rate and our upgrade cost. Boom, and then wait for it. Boom, right? Boom, and then the decimals look really nice. And then yeah, there we go, guys. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely leave a like, subscribe. If you guys want part two and stuff, for sure, just let me know. Let me know whatever you want to see in part two and stuff. Let me know any bugs you guys find. If you enjoyed the video, definitely leave a like, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.